conversation. And so we put all that together, right? Like some jambalaya, like some soup, and said, then let's invite some of our friends to partake. And let me tell you a little bit about the format tonight. It's not going to be a Q&A. We're going to have all of these histories and all of these stories on the stage that's going to have a conversation amongst themselves, and we just going to watch, right? After we watch, we're going to have some drummers come up here, because y'all thought that first set of drummers was the end. Not at all. We're going to have some more drummers that's going to come up here, and that's going to help close us down. But before we do that, we're going to have Ben from Chaos come give us a couple of words. And then we got DJ Prince on the other side, who is going to spin Afro beats for the next hours. And so we got y'all trapped, right? Because this door, you can't get out this door. The garage door is closed. We partying tonight. Can I hear y'all say yeah, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Can I hear y'all say yeah, yeah a little bit louder?
Yeah, yeah.
But really to get us started. So we put the event on Facebook, and SHANA REDMAN, Professor REDMAN, was like, yo, Pete, I'm with it. Can I participate? And that's that thing when you know it's real, when you know it's right. Twitter and Facebook is just lit up with people who want to share. I was like, there's no one better to sort of situate us and root us and anchor us in FELA. Now, we know you here too, Miss Isidore, but SHANA REDMAN, if you could come up, where are you at? Right here. Give it up. Did you like that? SHANA REDMAN. It's my mic.
How's everybody? What it is. So I'm not going to be real formal up here. I'm a professor, but I'm not going to be real dry. I'm just going to keep the conversation going, set it up a little bit, throw out some softballs that the panel can pick up or not. We can pick up in conversation with each other or not. I just want to lay a couple of ideas out in front of you as we celebrate this individual tonight. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right, so what do we need to know about FELA KUTI? A lot of what we need to know, many of you probably already know. It's what brought you here tonight. But I'm going to put some of these ideas back out in front of you. So he's an innovator of musical style and genre. We already know that. We already know he's been moving us. We already have heard that in our headphones. He's a hyphenate musician, band leader, an aesthetic and performance icon. Check out that PowerPoint behind the DJ back there. It's fly. You have all types of iconography to pick up on. And he's a rebel and a freedom fighter. Perhaps most importantly for our purposes, in this world, not just tonight, but in this world, he is a rebel and a freedom fighter. And he's here, right? This is not a past tense, he was, no, he is, presenting. So all of these things are interconnected, and this is what I want to stress with you tonight. I'm somebody who studies music and social movements, and those two things are inseparable in my mind. You cannot have one without the other, and such you cannot have FELA KUTI without both the political thought and the musicianship together. As he said, I play music as a weapon, okay? A weapon that is wielded for the liberation of his peoples. So he was the son of a prominent political activist in Nigeria. His mother, highly influential in his political thinking, Funmilayo Ransome Kuti, was a member of the Yoruba aristocracy in Nigeria, and along with FELA was a vocal opponent of the military dictatorships in Nigeria during the 1960s and 1970s. Okay, and for this activism, his mother was thrown from a third-story window on his compound, and from those injuries, she died. And from that incident, we had protest. We had FELA KUTI and his band and his followers carrying her body to the steps of the state building. And from that, we also have music. We have the song Coffin for the Head of State. Okay, 1980. This is how he turned his pain and turned liberation into music. 1974, he begins to chart his political path. And by 1976, his music is overtly political, taking all shots, pulling no punches with his government. And for this, he was hunted. And we know this continues to be the case. We are surveilled, we are arrested, we are suppressed because we speak truth to power. And he was arrested in 1974 and put to jail for the very first time. And of that experience, he said, "That first time I was taken to jail, it's a funny feeling. You know how people are brought up thinking that jail is just for criminals, man. For people who've gone against society, quote unquote. That law and order shit. But after they put me in that cell with people they call criminals, I started thinking, who the fuck is society? Who jails society when it does horrors to people? Why society does nothing to help beggars, to provide jobs and keep people from having to steal just to eat? Why don't society fight against corruption, punish the powerful? So here he offers a structural critique of his experience as a black man, as a political freedom fighter in Nigeria. And it's a critique of imprisonment and abuse of power. He's not simply lamenting his own assault. It is not about him. It is about society, about this thing we call society. And he's also taking an abolitionist posture in this language. He's refusing the common sense language of criminal, right? Which abolitionism does. It troubles our common sense around those rhetorics that the state uses to keep us divided and keep us oppressed. There is no such thing as a criminal. There are only people who the state works against. This deep provocation is one that bears significantly on the present. His music continues to speak to all of these issues. How many of you know the song Zombie? Can the DJ hear me? Could we possibly get a little bit of Zombie? I'll slip you that $20 bill on my way out. This song is situated deeply inside of its political present, the decolonization of the entire black and brown world that is happening in the 1960s and 1970s. And it is speaking, thank you for that, it is speaking specifically to that moment. There is no regard for those in power. Zombie is specifically speaking to the Nigerian military. Zombie no go unless you tell them to go. Zombie no talk unless you tell them to talk. Zombie no think unless you tell them to think. Okay? And he's taking on this group of individuals who have been set up and installed to preserve power, to preserve the powers of the rich, to preserve the investments of the wealthy. And of course, this military comes after him again and again and again. But this music, if it's coming to us, it's influenced. Here we go. I want us to listen to the music. It's also about the context, but about what you hear. This high-life guitar, this rhythm guitar. The West African rhythms, the inspirations of rock and roll, of funk, of jazz. You hear James Brown, who was a very big influence in Fela's life.
He's got more. There's more speakers back here.
This song intended to take down the Nigerian government because we party when we fight. All of these pieces, the influences from other parts of the world, the languages that he's bringing into the song where he's talking shit about the Nigerian military, he has no fear. Also the length of the song. FELA KUTI is playing for 10 and 12 and 15 and 20 minutes on wax, well before the industry thought that was okay. He's jamming. He's jamming. He's resisting the infrastructure of the state, refusing the infrastructure of the music industry, and he's jamming. And it's this last element that I'll close on, the jam. This is where I want to pause, the groove. This was Kuti's FELA superpower. Yes, it was the nucleus of his sound that made for his fantastic career in Nigeria, on the continent, and around the world. But the groove was his talent. It was his weapon that he wielded in order to create political community. This was not just his band. This was not just the way he cohered the sound and composition. This was how he cohered his political community. And the groove was his talent to organize. And I want to argue this evening that FELA KUTI was an organizer. You could not be exposed goes to the opening bars of Zombie or Shakara and not move. This engagement requires new ways of hearing, and Kuti used that to tell new stories and challenge listeners to investigate, to ask questions, what we always must require of each other. The kinetic energy that he manifested made political bodies who moved to his sounds and the demands that accompanied them. He was an organizer, and the saxophone was his bullhorn. As we think about leaving this place later tonight and reaching out to our communities, we might remember the groove as one tool available to us in our effort to move the masses toward our radical vision of a new world. Thank you.
Give it up. Y'all can do better than that for SHANA REDMAN, y'all. Fire. Fire. Say yeah, yeah.
Yeah.